Hey everybody, what's going on? Just came back from Comic Con with my family, and you might have noticed I'm wearing a Loki t-shirt. I love Loki, one of my favorite characters. I really hope that you are a little bit of a nerd when it comes to comics as much as I am, because I have a quiz for you. Who do you think is the real hero? Is it Loki or is it Thor? What do you guys think? I think it's Loki. I genuinely think it's Loki because the man sacrificed himself. This is the ultimate sacrifice. Look, think about it. Who was the man that sacrificed himself? And who was the person getting fat on pizzas? Right? So I really think it's Loki. But the thing is, everybody thinks Thor is the ultimate hero. Why is that? Because the screenwriters or the script writers made such a huge effort in selling you Thor as this, muscular, handsome, ultimate hero that everybody should fall in love with. Whereas I think they did a terrible job selling you Loki as the hero. Why am I talking about this? In the previous video, we talked about alternative paths in cybersecurity, and I told you that you have so many paths to select from that are non-technical. If you're not comfortable with technical work, you don't want to learn programming, you don't want to learn networking, you don't want to get into that. There are so many other things that you can select from and make a really good, successful career in cybersecurity. And one of the things is sales in cybersecurity. And I promised you I'm going to be doing another video, which is this video, to talk about what it makes or what it takes to make a good salesperson. Now, the thing is, as I was gathering my thoughts to make this video, I realized something. I realized that whatever I'm going to be sharing with you today is not only specific to sales, it is applicable to anybody that wants to get into a career in cybersecurity. And by the way, what I'm about to share with you, if you are somebody who's experienced in cybersecurity or in sales in cybersecurity, you've been doing this for the past 10 years, that's not going to be something new. It is, however, something that is particularly I'm using to particularly address people that are new to cybersecurity, that want to get into the domain and want to make a career out of cybersecurity. See, I'm not a salesperson. I never was. I think I'm a decent salesperson, but I'm not great at it. And if you ask me if I can go back in time and if I have the chance to learn one of two things, either become a great programmer and have a great influence in my career as cybersecurity, or learn sales and become a great salesperson, which one do you think I would choose? Become a great programmer or become a great salesperson? After so many years in cybersecurity and in the professional industry, I would hands down say that I would go and learn sales. The thing is, all my friends that are in sales, that are really good at sales, they never worry a day in their lives about getting a job or losing a job. They can get a job like that because they're really good at what they do and they're really good at sales. They can sell themselves. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But not only that, my friends that have went off on their own and started their own companies. See, I have two types of friends that are really good at technical work and that are really good at sales. The ones that went off on their own and they are really good at technically what they do, very good developers, very good programmers, created amazing products. A lot of them unfortunately failed to launch their company. Whereas if you look at the great salespeople, they are doing amazingly well, regardless of how good the product is. I mean, obviously the product has to be good, but it doesn't have to be great. The guys that were doing the technical work had great products, but didn't launch their company or couldn't get their company to take off. Why is that? Because no matter what an amazing product you have, if you don't know how to sell it, if you don't know how to market it, people are not going to know about it and people are not going to buy it. And therefore, your company is not going to take off. It's as simple as that. Whereas if you have built a decent product, but your sales and marketing skills are amazing, you are going to make a sale and you are going to launch an amazing company. Now, this product could be a software product, hardware product, or in your case, this product could be you. Think about it this way. Whenever you sit for an interview, what are you selling really? You're selling yourself. You're selling your skill set. When you go and talk to your manager and you ask for a raise or you ask for a promotion, what are you selling? You're selling your skill set, you're selling yourself. When you are at university and trying to decide on a thesis and discuss it with your professor and convince your professor that this is what you want to do, you're selling yourself, you're selling your thesis. When you're defending your PhD, you're doing the same thing. So sales is not really just pushing a product, pushing a software, pushing a hardware. Sales is really being able to sell yourself and being able to sell your skill set. And this is something that I really, really want you to take to heart. Because a lot of people, when we're talking about sales, they think, salespeople are this, salespeople are that, and they have this negative sort of association with sales, which is a little bit unfair, to be honest. I know some amazing salespeople. But for some reason, a lot of people think that, salespeople are just running after quick buck. They don't care about their customers. They don't care about deceiving or lying to their customers, which couldn't be further from the truth, by the way. But for you, particularly, no matter if you are a techie or not, when we're talking about sales, we're talking about selling yourself. Now, like I said, I'm not a great salesperson. So I sat down with a great salesperson and I asked him, I said, what does it take to make a great salesperson? Now, that gentleman, he runs a big sales team, generates quite a bit of revenue. But on top of all that, what I really like about him is that he hires fresh graduates, people that are fresh out of university. Not a lot of companies do that. So if you are fresh out of university or if you are going to graduate soon, you want to hear what this gentleman has to say about why he hires who he hires. So I asked him, what do you look for when you are interviewing people for a sales position? And here we're talking about sales and cybersecurity, of course. And this is what he said. First and foremost, he wants somebody who is proactive, who is open to mentorship, open to learning, and he's going to take that mentorship and learning and run with it. And I couldn't agree with this more. And again, this doesn't just apply to sales. Here's the thing. I mentor a lot of students and I mentor them on technical concepts. Like, for example, the last student I'm mentoring, we're working together on Azure pen testing. She's learning how to do pen testing for Azure infrastructure, Azure applications and whatnot. And when I interview students that I want to mentor, I tell them bluntly and plainly, I look for one thing and one thing only. I look for students that are proactive. I want you as a student that wants mentorship to go and be proactive on your own, to do some research on your own, do some reading on your own. I don't have the time to handhold you. And even if I had the time, I will not handhold you. I'd rather go spend this time with my family, chilling on a beach somewhere. I'm not going to handhold you. You have to be proactive. This applies to you in your career, particularly if you are getting started in your career. You have to show this. You have to show the initiative. You have to show the proactivity. And if you are getting in sales, more so. This is one. The second thing that he looks for is the foundational understanding of businesses and how the business process happens. And here, don't let this overwhelm you. If you are new to business, if you are new to the corporate world, don't let this overwhelm you. Here we're talking about some basic stuff such as the procurement life cycle. What is an RFP? What is an RFI? What is an RFQ? What do you do with these things? And these are all things that you can pick up from Google or you can pick up from talking to people that are already in the industry. Now, fear not, if you're not familiar with this, you can get familiarized with this very, very quickly when you get started. But again, this ties back to the first point. You have to have the ability and the motivation to learn on your own and to be proactive and go and look for these things. The third thing that he mentioned, and this is extremely important, no matter if you are techie, if you are in sales, if you are in cybersecurity, or if you are in something completely different, the ability to be able to tie technical work and technical processes, technical procedures, technical terminology to businesses. This right here, this is a key thing, particularly if you want to become a consultant. You have to be able to have the ability to go and talk to executives, to managers, and speak their language. At one point in time, throughout your consultancy career, you're going to be sitting with an IT director, with a CISO, with a CEO, and you have to be able to translate a pen testing report to their business speak and business language. If you sit down with a CEO and tell them, I popped a shell on your database, they're going to look very puzzled and they're going to look at you like, what on earth are you talking about? But you're going to have to translate this to something that they can relate to something that they can understand. And this is an acquired skill. It comes with time, but you have to show that you are interested and concerned about this as well, and that you have the ability to communicate this. The fourth point that he mentioned is presentation skills. And unfortunately, nobody talks about this in the technical world. I have seen terrible presentations. I was a terrible presenter. I literally used to put people to sleep when I was presenting, I kid you not. And this is so embarrassing to admit, but it's true. I remember more than once, actually more than once, when I was presenting and people were falling asleep as I presented. I hope you're not sleeping as I'm talking about this. So I had to go to do boot camps on how to present, to do workshops on how to present, to get trained on how to present, put a lot of time, effort, and money in this to work on my presentation skills to become less snoozy and less boring and put less people to sleep. Very embarrassing to admit, but there we are. It's the really important skill. And again, nobody talks about this until nobody told me about it until I literally saw people sleeping in front of me while I was presenting. And I decided like, okay, I need to do something about it. Go and do something about it from now. Don't wait until you put people to sleep like I did. And the last and definitely not least skill set that you need to have is understanding customer requirements. So if you want to become a pen tester, if you want to become somebody who is doing an amazing work as a consultant in cybersecurity, you have to have the ability to sit down with your customer and understand where are they coming from? What is their motivation to come to you and buy from you a service or a product? Why are they doing that? Is there something else that you can do to help them? I've had this happen on so many different occasions where a customer will come and say, hey, we need to do a pen test. And then I would sit down to them and try to understand what are their motivations behind this. What is it that they are trying to achieve? And I realized that what they need is not a pen test. They need something else. Maybe they need a configuration review. Maybe they need some kind of different assessment. And the customers will love this, will appreciate it so much when you tell them, look, I don't think you need this. You really don't need to be spending your money on this. I think what you need is something else. So put your money in the right place. Not only will you be doing your customer a huge service and saving them money, but they will love you for it as well. And this is a key thing. You have to be able to understand your customer requirements and make sure that you comply with these requirements. So to recap, these are the main skill sets, not only for a salesperson, but for anybody wanting to get into cybersecurity, particularly if you want to become a consultant in cybersecurity. First and foremost, proactivity. This is something that you have to demonstrate in the interview, in your career, especially if you are just starting in your career. Second, understanding business processes. Understanding what an RFP is, what RFQ is, what RFI is, how the procurement lifecycle works, how the sales lifecycle works. And it doesn't matter if you're a techie, you will be involved in this at one point in time. You will be asked to go and help your pre-sales team, your sales team, and so on. Third is tying technical work or technical lingo to business and making sure that you are able to translate what you've done as a technical work or technical project to people that are less technically inclined than you, especially if they are the executive suite, directors, CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, and so on. Fourth, presentation skills. I guess I don't need to re-emphasize this. Don't get people to sleep when you're presenting like some person that I know. And last but not least, understanding your customer requirements. Now, let me tell you very briefly, what are a couple things that would fail you in an interview or fail you early on in your career? When I was talking to that gentleman, I asked him this question. I said, look, at one point in time, I'm sure you hired somebody and it turned out to be a bad hire. You had to let them go after a month or two or when they finished their probation. What went wrong? What happened? Why were they a bad hire? Two things. One is that they didn't show any proactivity. They didn't show any willingness to learn. They were there being very passive expecting to be spoon-fed, expecting to be handheld, and of course that doesn't sit well with anybody really. If I get a student that is not that proactive, I completely drop them from my mentorship program and I go and select somebody else. Look, there are thousands of students that need help, that need support, and unfortunately I really wish that I had all the time in the world. I don't. So I have to pick and choose. And if you are going to take somebody's spot and not take the full advantage of it, you're going to be let go. The same applies to your career. The same applies in the job market. You have a probation period. And if you don't demonstrate in the interview early on or in your probation period that you are worthy of that position, you're going to get let go. And the second thing is that there was no real sense of urgency to learn. And this sort of boggles my mind. When you are fresh out of university, this is when you are the most motivated, the most excited about getting in the job market. If you don't have the sense of urgency that early on in your career, I don't know when you're going to have it. I really don't. I don't think I've ever been that excited or motivated about starting a new job as much as I was when I first finished university. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get my hands on my first job, get my hands on my first laptop, get started in the first project, impress my managers, impress my customers. I just couldn't wait. I was so excited about it. If you don't have that sense of urgency that early on, I don't know what to tell you. You're probably in the wrong domain. You need to go and find something else to do. So these were the two big things that flagged a hire as a bad hire, and unfortunately they didn't carry on or continue in that gentleman's team. So I truly hope that I have driven some of these points home. And again, the big main message here in big bold letters is the fact that sales is not what you think it is. It's not trying to push a product. It's not trying to push a software. It's not trying to go after a quick buck or commission and whatnot. Sales really is something that every one of us will have to do. When you are selling yourself an interview, when you're selling yourself up for a promotion or for a raise, or when you are trying to convince your professor about a thesis, or defending your PhD, or a million other scenarios. Even if you're a parent and you want to get your kids to go to bed, you're selling them on going to go to bed. Trust me, it's not the easiest sale in the world. So I hope you find this video helpful, and I hope it truly helps you launch your career successfully. That's it from me for now, and I will see you soon in another video.